Scott DeCamp with CatchMark Sports. This is appreciate that.
Thanks for having us.
So, 2 days removed from your 31-13 loss to Lansing Catholic. That's a game that you were ahead 7-0 end of the first quarter. You had a nice pick by Colton, took it back away. He's got you set up in some good field position, and then moved it right down and scored. And at that point, and either of you guys can kind of answer this, but how were you feeling right at that point when they were moving the ball and then you got the pick, you flip field position, and then you kind of take the lead?
Well, we felt pretty good because going into it, the quarterback only had 2 interceptions on the season, and so for us to get that pick early, we felt like we had a pretty good shot, and then to be able to finish off that drive with a touchdown, we were feeling pretty good. But we knew they would respond, so it wasn't a surprise that they just kept coming back. But yeah, that was a great start. The second quarter didn't go our way, but it was a good way to start the game.
No, second quarter seemed like it had a little bit of everything. And none of it was really that good for you guys, but there's a couple of turnovers, a couple of fumbles, which set them up. Fumbled deep in your own territory. I think one was at the 38, the other was at like the 23, which with a good offense like that, you just don't want to do them any favors. And then started like sleeting sideways, and you just had a little bit of everything. And did it feel like things were really slipping their way, or did you guys still feel like the game was maybe closer than what the score showed at that point?
We definitely thought that it was closer than what it showed for sure, because we were all thinking about back to the Reed City game. We were up 21-7 going into halftime, and then they ended up coming back and making it a really close game. So we were like, we're going to clean it up at halftime, stop shooting ourselves in the foot with the mistakes we're making. We'll come back and we'll play harder and better in the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, and then at that point, do you think their defense kind of tightened down, or do you think you guys just maybe weren't executing to move the ball as well, or what do you think? What would you chalk that up to, like in the second half?
Their defense was solid. They definitely had a good game plan, and they were able to slow us down a little bit. We missed some opportunities, but the second half, we played them pretty even. So it was just that second quarter, things kind of got away from us. But other than that, it was really a pretty even game.
Yeah, and you look at your schedule. You guys finished 8-4, but if you look at 3 teams, 3 of your losses, those are teams that are still playing. So, that says a lot for the type of competition you guys have played. You got Edwardsburg, and you've got Catholic Central, which you just played, or Lansing Catholic, and then you also got Portland. And those teams are all still playing. So, what does that tell you about how tough of a schedule you guys played this year, Tugg?
It tells us a lot that as Montague, we like to try to schedule ourselves a tougher schedule, so that way when we go into the playoffs and we play teams like Lansing Catholic and so on and so forth, then their games are a little easier. But
And how much, if you could talk about Tugg real quick, how much has he meant to you guys, both for his play on the field and then his vocal leadership and then just all those things?
Yeah, he's been great for us all year. He's kind of our vocal leader, as you said, and ever since I got hired, he's been, our senior leader. One of our captains on the field. He's played great on both sides of the ball. He rarely comes off the field. Our leading receiver ended up with a couple interceptions, right, on defense. So just really a playmaker for us on both sides of the ball and kind of the heart and soul of our team. And
then you're also up for an award. I'm not sure if you saw, for the West Michigan Conference Player of the Year thing that we're doing. And what does it mean to you just to be, in that company of those other 2 guys that are up for it?
It means a lot. It shows the type of player that the West Michigan Conference, the types of players that we have. Alec Pruitt, he's a great running back. I'm sure he's a great student too, from what I've heard. Mm-hmm. And then you have
Corey Vanderput.
Corey, who's a stud on the football field. And again, I've talked to him a little bit. He's a great guy off the field, and he's super smart. So.
And then just, if you look at Saturday was tough. I know, talking to you after the game, that there's so much emotion, and I could see it when you kind of crouch down because you just probably overcome with emotions, and when it hits you and maybe at that point I don't know how much it hits you, and maybe it hits you in waves, like over the weekend maybe it comes at different times, but how tough is it to kind of let go of something like that that's meant so much to you, over these last few years?
It's really hard to let it go for sure. The last 4 years, I mean, it's definitely been the best 4 years of my life so far, I'd say. But you know, you have to let go of some good things. You know, all good things come to an end, is what people say. So you just gotta learn to move on. So.
No, and you and then your teammates accomplished and have experienced more things than a lot of high school kids get the chance to. You know, you run last year, and as strange as that, you know, year was through COVID and everything, it extended into late January. You guys were 12-0. I mean, the year before, got to the semifinals, a game you could have won, could have been at Ford Field again that year. I mean, you guys have played a lot of games, a lot of big games. So, but Justin, I'm sure it had to be emotional for you in the locker room, you know, joining your players in the locker room after the game. I mean, what was that like? I mean, how do you handle that as a coach, I guess?
Yeah, it's always tough to see the seniors after their last game. You know, like you said, this group has a ton to be proud of, and they've accomplished so much. So that might make it a little easier, but still in that moment, you know, when it's over, it's, you know, it's just tough. And so you try and just talk about how much, you know, they meant to me and the coaching staff, and, you know, remind them of what they accomplished and kind of the relationships they built with their teammates. And, you know, that's what it's all about. So it's always hard in that moment, but they have so much to be proud of. And, you know, this is a really special senior group. So hopefully that makes it a little easier. And, you know, they went through all this together. So,
Tugg, what would be your biggest highlights if you were just to list them the last 2-3 years? What are the things that come to mind? I mean, some of them are kind of obvious, I'm sure, but what are some of the things that really stand out in your mind?
Just the deep playoff runs with the guys on the team. Last year winning state with Drew and Sam and Walker and all those guys. Sophomore year being on the field when we lost the semifinal game with Brennan and all those guys, just watching them drop to their knees. Freshman year, I remember talking to Bryce Stark after the game, and I told him that I'd go win a state championship before I graduate for him and all those seniors that made it so close.
Yeah.
But those are just some of the highlights.
And then what about for you? I mean, it's had to be a whirlwind for you. You know, you get the job, first head coaching job, and then, you know, taking over a place where they got a lot already built in, but there's still pressure, you know, as coming as a new coach to kind of maintain what they've been doing. So, I mean, what was it like for you in your first year?
Yeah, it was an amazing year. A lot of highs and lows, but just overall a lot of fun and great group of seniors, and the team was awesome, and the coaching staff was so helpful for me. You know, some things that stick out were that Oak Ridge game was such an emotional game for us, and it kind of felt like after we won that one, a little relief for me at least. And then to get through the rest of the season and be co-conference champs and end up winning the district title, just really accomplished a lot this season. And you know, again, the players and the rest of the coaching staff were awesome to work with, and to be able to coach these guys. So it was just a great season.
Tugg, what were your first impressions of this guy when you got hired and you got introduced?
My first impression was probably like, yeah, he'd be a pretty good teacher, because I knew that the school was looking for the teacher, but I was there looking for a football coach. Mm-hmm. And then I heard him start talking about some of the things that he knows about football, and I was like, all right, well, maybe he knows this stuff. We'll see. And then it just happened to be that we picked him. So. Yeah.
And then what about you meeting this guy? I mean, what were you thinking?
I mean, I could tell right away that he was going to be kind of one of our leaders, and you know, sometimes he's tough to coach because he's part of it's because he's so smart and knows the game so well, that sometimes it makes it tough to coach him. But you know, obviously that's a great thing. So mm-hmm. It's, you know, it's like a double-edged sword there. But he was, you know, just fun to coach this year, and the whole senior group was just a good group of guys, and mm-hmm. just a lot of fun to be around.
So where does the nickname, not nickname, that's your name, right? Is that your birth name,
yeah.
Tugg? Where's that come from?
So the real story is my dad wanted me to be a third, so like behind him or whatever. Mm-hmm. And my mom didn't want me to be the third or whatever. And so when my dad left the room, like the hospital room, she named me without him knowing. And it took him like a week and a half to actually find out.
I wonder what he was calling you. You have any idea? Was he calling you third?
I don't know.
You know?
Maybe.
So, you said you went out hunting today, opening
Mhm.
day. I mean, was that kind of a nice escape a little bit, even though you didn't really see anything? I know you mentioned that there's a nice 10-point that you're kind of waiting for, but is it kind of a nice break or nice escape just after a long football season, a long run, just to kind of get out there with your thoughts and kind of be out there in the woods?
Yeah, it's nice. It's just kind of like a relaxing thing, you know. Take the day off, just sit and listen to nothing but the wind and animals and stuff like that. Just it's very calming and it kind of helps.
And you're a 3-sport athlete, so you got basketball coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like tryouts are going on right now. Baseball, that kind of thing. What do you plan on doing in college? Are you going to college, or are you going a different route, or what are your plans?
I'm actually undecided right now. So I'm talking to a couple colleges for football. I wouldn't mind going to play college football. I wouldn't mind going to play college baseball either. But if none of that actually works out, then I'll go into the trades and learn like HVAC and something like that.
Yeah. So where your interests lie besides, I mean, I know you're busy as a 3-sport athlete, and obviously outdoors would seem to be something you enjoy. What else do you really like doing in your spare time whenever you do get it?
I hang out with my friends a lot. And I like to watch a lot of college football and NFL football with my stepdad. But
You didn't subject yourself to that Lions game yesterday, did you?
no, I did not watch that awful game.
Who do you like? Who's your team?
The Giants.
Is it? How'd that come about?
They probably lost. I'm not sure. I don't watch them very much.
But I mean, how
after
did that come
Saquon.
about in terms of Giants? How did you become a Giants fan?
Oh, well, I was watching NFL football one time with my stepdad, and it was the Lions versus the Giants. He was cheering for the Lions, so I was like, I'll cheer for the Giants.
What about you? Who are you? Who do you like?
Unfortunately, I'm a Lions fan.
Did you watch that game or not?
I did. Yeah, it was hard to watch, but hey, they didn't lose. So
Now Steelers fans and kind of get a little glimpse of what it's like to be a Lions fan for one day at
Right.
least. Man, that was brutal.
yeah.
It's like, no, you take it. No, you take it. But just in terms of you, Tugg, with the rest of your senior year, what are you looking to achieve? You know, in your other sports. I mean, what have you thought about that much, or what do you think you guys can do in basketball, and then maybe going forward to baseball?
Well, my personal goals for every sport is to be better than what I was last year,
Mm-hmm.
and like improve the team better than what we were last year too. Like for basketball and baseball, my goal isn't set at, you know, going to win a state championship. I mean, that would be nice, obviously, but I want to just push the program and build farther and farther and farther for the guys below us too.
One of the things that when we decided to add Tugg to the list of player of the year candidates, which it was a tough call because, you know, you've got Dylan, you've got Hayden. I think those three right off the top are all worthy candidates for that. And but one thing that I think we really liked is you've got kind of like the clutch gene or whatever, you know, that you're a kid who can come through in the big moments. We saw it in basketball. I covered that game when you hit the 3 against Oak Ridge. I don't think you were you at the school? I don't think you were.
Not during
obviously.
basketball,
Yeah,
no.
at that
No.
point, yeah. I don't know if you've seen clips of that or if he's shown you that,
I
yeah.
have, yeah.
How many times have you had to watch that?
I think I just like stumbled upon it once or twice. Yeah, he hasn't brought it up.
So, and then, you know, obviously as a catcher in baseball, that kind of thing. I think you just kind of come through in football. You've come through with a lot of big plays. Where's that come from, do you think?
It's probably just my love and like knowing of the game. So I know, like I run through the situation through my head before it actually happens. Like I remember having many conversations with Drew last year that like, oh, this play is gonna happen in this situation. This play is gonna happen in this situation. So I just kind of plan myself for it, I guess, and then just execute it when it happens.
And then just kind of in closing for either of you, I mean, how do you put into words what this season was like, both, you know, good, bad, or in between?
You want to go first?
Sure. Overall, I'd say it was a pretty good, successful season. Our motto was proven wrong this year. People were kind of doubting us because we lost Drew, Sam Walker, all those like key seniors last year. Everybody didn't think that we were going to make it as far as we did, and especially after that Week 1 Edwardsburg loss, we kind of proved people wrong that like we still play Montague football. Just because we got a new coach doesn't mean, you know, things change or anything like that. So then we won conference. We won a district. We made it to the regionals, so I'd say it was a pretty successful
Yeah.
season.
What about you, Justin?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. You know, that was kind of going into it. A lot of people doubted us, and that we talked about that a lot, just because, like he mentioned, all the great players from the state championship team, and then losing half the coaching staff or however many left. You know, there was a lot of change, and so it was, kind of their mission and my mission personally too, to make sure that we kept the tradition rolling here and kept a winning program. And so again, winning conference and district was just huge for us, and just kind of put a stamp on the season that Montague's still going to be a football powerhouse, and we're going to keep things rolling here.
Yeah, well, great job, you guys. Thanks for coming on. Again, this is Tugg Nichols and Justin Dennett. Great season. I mean, I know just to win the conference like you did, to share it, even that's in a tough conference like that, that says a lot. And to win a 5th straight district title, that does too. So congrats on another nice season. So that'll do it for the Coaches' Corners for this season. Thanks for watching tonight, and also thanks for watching throughout the season. Good night, everyone.